What's up, Mod Squad? MOB back with another Division 2 build breakdown video. Before we get into today's video, I want to announce that I have finally enabled my join button. This means for those of you who want to support the channel that little bit more, you can join and become members. You will have the access to badges and perks others don't. Becoming a member is another great way to support the channel, and it's going to help me improve on the channel's quality. If you guys are interested in being a member, then click the join button down below to check out the available perks. I believe the first tier is only $1. Thank you to those of you who choose to join. Now with that said, today's video is going to be a breakdown of my new AR attack dog build. Now I'm sure most of you will want an explanation for the attack dog part of the title, so let me explain. This is a hybrid build that does great damage from both weapons and its skills. It also has great survivability due to the combination of the attack dog, aka the striker drone, and the restorer hive. The purpose of the striker drone is to of course do damage, but to also serve as a distraction to NPCs, allowing you to put in damage with your weapon and to not take the full focus of the NPCs. The striker drone also allows you to manually choose your targets, so if NPC try to rush you, you can manually target it and it will attack it like an attack dog on command, hence the attack dog part of the title. NPCs also have a tendency to camp in cover, so using the targeting system you are able to force them out of cover. Focusing the same NPC with your striker drone will also buff the damage of your drone, getting the problem dealt with quicker. You'll understand what I mean when we break down the build. The reason I have chose the Restorer Hive is because it's a healing skill that has great range, which allows you to play within an area and receive heals. It also has plenty of charges, lasts a long time depending on how much damage you take, and you're able to pick it up and put it down wherever you want. Many players run the generic glass cannon 15 red DPS build, and whilst it's great at doing damage, it lacks survivability and can be difficult for players to use. So I wanted to put a twist on that because players love the damage from an all red DPS build but dislike the lack of survivability and defenses the build has. So now I've shown you a little bit of what this build's capable of, let's get into the build breakdown. So starting off with the specialization, we are using the technician. Now I'm just going to go over the main reasons we are using this specialization. We're using it because we get the +1 extra skill tier. We also get plus 12% damage to drones, skill proxies and robotics. And we also get some nice perks for our hive. But another good reason we are using this specialist is because we get the plus 10% skill damage. And that is pretty much it when it comes to the specialization and why we're using it. So let's get on with the build. Starting off with our primary weapon, we have the MK16, the tactical MK16, 94.7k base damage, 625 RPM with 50 in the magazine, and I'm telling you now guys, this gun hits hella hard too. So we have the 15% assault rifle damage, we have 16.5% health damage, and we have 6% damage to armor. The talent we are using is Optimist. Weapon damage is increased by 3% for every 10% ammo missing from the magazine. When it comes to the attachments, we spec out and crit chance on the sight, on the underbarrel, and on the muzzle. And when it comes to the magazine, we have the extra 20 rounds of course. Moving on to our secondary, and of course we have to have the Baker's Dozen. We use this just because sometimes NPCs are just too far out of reach for the assault rifle, so the rifle comes in handy. Of course it's the typical Baker's Dozen, maxed out roll and perfect lucky shot. Not much to go over. The sidearm doesn't even matter. So with the weapons out of the way, we're going to get into the build, starting off with the Coyote's Mask. And of course, most of you already know what this does. The main reason we're using it is for the plus 25% critical hit damage. This build has 50% crit chance, and it's been put that way on purpose because anything further than 15 meters, we get an extra 10% critical hit chance and 10% critical hit damage. So I've purposely left the crit chance at 50, knowing that as soon as we get past that 15 meter mark, we're going to gain back the extra crit chance. So when it comes to this mask, maxed out stats all the way through, and then we have a mod giving us 11.5% critical hit damage. Now moving on to the chest piece, and this is probably the one piece that I would change if I could, to be totally honest. I would change this to a Fenris with glass cannon. Perfect glass cannon gives you 30%, I think the standard glass cannon gives you 25%, but I'd rather have the 10% assault rifle damage from Fenris and then glass cannon on top of that. On this chest piece we have 9.9% weapon damage, 3.9% critical hit chance, 12% critical hit damage and 11.3 critical hit damage via a mod. Moving on to our holster, we have the Seska holster giving us 10% critical hit chance, 15% weapon damage, 11.9% critical hit damage, and 4.5% critical hit chance. And the backpack. Now this is a Honeydew backpack, and we're using 2 pieces of Honeydew to give us 10% skill haste and 10% skill damage. We're mainly using it for the skill damage, and we're using 2 pieces to get the skill damage. Obviously you could use a Wyvern wear piece and another piece to get some extra skill damage, but I really wanted to use this backpack talent, and it works really well because you get an extra 30% damage while you're shooting at an enemy. So perfect combined arms, shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. So basically, as long as you're shooting at an NPC and you're target shooting at the same time, it's getting an extra 30% on top of that. Also, what a lot of people don't know is that glass cannon also works with your skills, so they get an extra 30% damage as well. So in total we'll be getting an extra 60% damage for our drone, which is crazy, on top of the damage that we're already doing with our assault rifle. So you can imagine how quick we melt through things when you're shooting at them at the same time. So looking at the backpack again, we have the 1 skill tier, we have 8.8% skill damage, 11.2% critical hit damage, and then a mod giving us 11.5% critical hit damage. Onto the gloves, our second piece of Honeydew, we have the 1 skill tier, 6.4% skill damage, 12% critical hit damage. Onto the knee pads, using these because damage to targets out of cover is just best in slot, and it's also because we're using the rifle if we really need to. We have 12% weapon damage, 8% damage to targets out of cover, and then 12% critical hit damage. Moving on to our skills, and we're going to start off with the striker drone, aka the attack dog. The cooldown is 22.7 seconds, the duration is 195 seconds, so it's around for quite a while, and it puts out 39.6k damage. So looking over the mods, we have a 6.2% duration mod. We have a 9.2% health mod because we need it to have a decent amount of health because it serves as a distraction as well as doing damage. So it's going to take a lot of shots off NPCs, so we want it to last a little while. And then we have a 4.5% damage mod. Moving on to our second skill, the Restorer Hive. We have the 3-second refill speed, 26 charges, it has a 10-meter radius, and then we have a duration of 56.1 seconds. The healing is 108k. When it comes to the mods, we have a 4.5% healing mod, we have the 4 extra charges, and then we have the plus 10% duration. And that is it when it comes to the skills. So now the skills are done, we're going to move on to the stat sheet. So starting off with the weapon stats, as you can see, these are the stats for the tactical MK16. We have 49.2% critical hit chance, just shy off that 50%. If I had better rolls, it'd be 50 or just over 50. We have 133.2% critical hit damage. You can add another 25% for the Coyote's mask on top of that. 65% headshot damage, 6% armor damage, and 17% health damage. Weapon damage bonus, 61.9%. We have 25% rifle damage, we have 15% assault rifle damage. Again, switch out that chest piece for the Fenris, you'll get more damage out of it. Moving on to the next stats, these are the talents and the brand sets that we are currently running. When it comes to the defensive stats, doesn't even matter, and that's pretty much it, guys, when it comes to the build. If you want to go over this in greater detail, feel free to pause the video at any time. I'm loving this build, it's a lot of fun, sending that drone out there to finish off the kills that I can't get or make NPCs move out of cover because they're camping. It's a lot of fun to run. It's also a build for those who want to sit back and cover a little bit more and not play as aggressively, because I do put out build videos where it requires you to push up on NPCs, you know, get right up in their face, and a lot of people don't want to play like that, they want to take their time. So this build is kind of for those players. Anyway guys, that's it for this build video. Let me know what you think down in the comment sections below. Don't forget to smash that like button to show your support and help us grow. If you're new around here, hit that sub button, join the mob squad, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, mob squad.
Checking for the key card. Immediate medical assistance needed. Search query finished. Subject located.
It's President Ellis. I'll have a helicopter on standby to extract him.
I'll lock down procedure.
Goddamn division breathing down my neck!
Give him an earpiece and get him on comms.
Immediate medical assistance needed. Serious trauma detected.